go ahead and get started. Welcome to Tuesday Night Talks, Week 17. It's our final one. It's been a great journey. Matt Elkin could not be here today, so special co-host from All Academic Basketball, Jason Smith, will be the co-host tonight. Really excited. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick. So we've been talking about our All Academic Basketball camps. A lot of the coaches that we've seen over the past couple weeks work our camps. Since we will not be doing Tuesday Night Talks until a date in the future, make sure you guys visit this website, allacademicbasketball.com, to view our events that are coming up. This weekend we're in Utah. I will be there, so if you will be there, make sure you introduce yourself. And then, we have Vegas. Our All Academic Super Bowl is the next big one in Phoenix, Arizona, September 12th and 11th through the 13th. We would love to see you guys there. If you have any questions, I'm going to have my email, my information in the chat. That's allacademicbasketball.com. Emerson's been a big supporter of ours. And without further ado, we have Coach Bill Curley from Emerson down in Boston. Coach, welcome to Tuesday Night Talks.
Well, thanks for having us. I think we have my assistant coach, Coach Jack Barrett, on the line somewhere as well. So we really appreciate you guys giving us the time to tell you a little bit about our program and our great school.
Coach, to start, can you give us a background on your journey in basketball and coaching and how you ended up at Emerson?
Just as long as I can remember, I had a basketball in my hand. I was fortunate enough to grow along with it, and had a basketball's been really good to me, I guess, where I was able to play for a great coach in high school and then move on and play at the college ranks at BC and the Big East, and we did all right there. And then I was able to go from there and become a first-round draft pick and play in the NBA for about 7 years and for about as many teams. And those 7 years, traded quite a bit. But I think that's probably a great thing for me because, now being a coach, to be able to play for so many different coaches and organizations and play with so many great players, I think it just really helps me with the basketball side, where I've been every position imaginable, from the best player on the team to the guy that had to sit behind the bench. So I understand every role you can imagine out there, and I know what it's like, and I know the value that everyone brings to a team. And we're just hoping to pass it down. And I had such great coaches from Coach O'Brien to Flip Saunders to Rudy Tomjanovich and guys like that. It's just Don Nelson. You just go down the line, and it's incredible. So, and the teammates I had from Olajuwon to Kevin Garnett to Joe Dumars and guys like that Grant Hill, so we've had I've just had a great experience with it, and now I'm able to give back a little bit from what I've learned along my way.
What an incredible resume, from high school to college, McDonald's All-American to BC, the NBA, now at Emerson College. Unbelievable. Can you give us an overview of Emerson academically and as a school?
Academically, we are, we're a little school right in the heart of Boston. We're basically like a city block, but it's really amazing how strong Emerson is when it comes to anything in marketing, communications, and film. We're really second to nobody. We might not be the best out there, but we're as good as everybody. And we have such long tentacles. We actually have a campus on Sunset Boulevard. We have a campus in the Netherlands. And, our main campus is Boston, but students will break out for a semester and go to those other places. And so it's a really unique place. And it's really just specializes in those three. You can do other things, but it's anything involving those three majors right there. It's just fantastic. So I got a little bit of a slide just to demonstrate a little bit about that. If you guys want to give me a little screenshot so I can get a better picture for you guys.
If you go to the bottom of your screen, it's the green button to share screen.
I can do that.
Yeah, go and click on that, and it'll share your presentation.
You gotta enable it. It says host disabled attendee.
Let me see. That work? Try now.
Let's see. Here we go. All right.
There we go.
How's that? All right. So as you can see, we're right in the heart of Boston. You know, this is the Boston Common. Basically, from this view right here, you're standing on the. It's almost like you're standing on the Boston Garden roof taking this picture. You know, the garden's really that close. You know, this is our main campus right here. All these buildings right here. A couple of these buildings here. So that's basically it. So we're all about city living, but really Boston's is your campus. You know, there's 200,000 students in the area. So our kids are networking throughout the city with kids from MIT, Harvard, BU, BC, you name it. They're running through the city and really taking up the most of it. So it's a pretty unique situation, and you'd be surprised at all the unique classrooms and spaces they have built in there and in it. And we're not just a concrete jungle. You know, we got two beautiful parks, and over here you can't really see on the right, but there's another great public garden that. So we do have some greenery. So it's not just all brick and mortar there. You know, this is like a little zoomed in of the main campus here, and it's pretty neat place to be, and right in a great location where you can walk everywhere. You know, Boston's I'm biased obviously, but you know, through my NBA days, I've traveled and lived in different cities, so I think we got it all here between the changing climates, the great food. You got the ocean, you got little ride to the mountains, so it's got something for everybody. All right, and then right here we have 25 undergraduate majors and 30 plus minors. Our biggest ones that our players are starting to do, our main players do sports communication, and the neat part about that is that's relatively new major for us, where Emerson looked at how successful their graduates were doing in the sports industry. You know, whether they were, you know, producing or on air at ESPN, to running NBA teams, where Sam Presti with the OKC played at Emerson. His teammate was the GM of the Orlando Magic at one point. So, and then we got a bunch of other guys involved with other organizations, from Miami to Minnesota to the Pacers. So we have a pretty unique sports history or sports connection there. So they wanted to find a way how they could help you mainstream it and get in there. So they started this major, and it's pretty awesome. You know, the main the head of the department is the president of the Red Sox AAA team, the Paw Sox. And you know, he was with the Dodgers, he was with the Orioles, he was with the Red Sox at one point, but he's teaching now at Emerson and running this. So, you know, his first day of class, you go to his class, and our guys or the class, he goes, all right, let's go. And they walk over to Fenway. He gives them a ticket to the Yankees, Red Sox, and a little money for some soda and a dog. And you know, they're learning about how you're running a major league organization, from where you put the signs. You know, well, who gets to sign at center field, who gets this box there. So it's really hands-on, and it's a neat place to really get out there. It's not about sitting in a classroom. It's about getting out there and experience. Most of our professors have to work in the industry they teach, so they're not professional students, or professional teachers, I should say. And I kind of say that, you know, it's like, well, what does that mean? You want a professional teacher? Yes. But, you know, my first year in Minnesota, I was hurt, had a couple knee surgeries, so I didn't get to play. It was Kevin Garnett's second year in the league. So I got to put my chair on the baseline, and I watched Kevin McHale work with Kevin Garnett in the post. And honestly, in the first 5 minutes of watching and listening to McHale teach KG what you're trying to do, how are you trying to get position, what are you trying to do when you get there, how are you setting your man up, it was incredible. And I had gone to camp since I was that big, and okay, we're gonna do the dream shake, we're gonna do the McHale up and under and all this. And so you do all the textbook things from these guys, but they didn't know the nuances. And you heard McHale teach it, and I'm like, honestly, I'm kicking myself in the. I'm like, this is incredible. If I understood that or had someone explain that to me when I was playing, I think I averaged probably 10 to 12 more points a game in college. And I did all right. I scored a bunch of points, but I really think that's a 10-point per game increase, understanding that. And I called my brothers up right away. This is what you got to try to do, because they were still in school. So it definitely helped them. But it's just amazing, the difference. And I think that having the professors that are in the industry today and understand the way that the marketplace is changing and all that really benefits our kids. And, when they're going for an internship or they're going for a job, now they have their little bit of network, and their professor can recommend them, and okay, well, try this and that. So it is a very unique situation, and our kids really enjoy it. Here's a bunch of the minors. So, I like to say, are we the hardcore business? We're not like the hardcore where you got to get out the calculators and all that. I like to say that's what we got computers for and calculators. We're the people side. One of our former soccer players is managing a $1 billion fund, and it's because he can express and articulate and get people to understand what they're investing in and what their thoughts are. And I think that's what Emerson really prides himself on when you leave here, that you're going to understand and you're going to be able to express yourself through writing or verbally, so that people understand what's in your head. Anyone can tell you something, but unless you really explain it so they understand it, what good is it? And I think that's what Emerson's strong point is. So we have guys do a bunch of things. Here's a bunch more majors. And then, so this right here is just a little bit of our, this is one of our former players. He's the head sports anchor at an NBC affiliate in College Town in Texas. And so this year, he kind of, the neat part about Emerson as well is that it's really, they call it the Emerson Mafia, where these guys really take care of each other and look out for each other, and they're following for just being a little school on a corner. And so this guy, Mike Lucas, does this for our team. So I think guys can get a feel for what our team looks like. And, this is what he's doing now. And he's running doing great interviews, but he took time to make this for our team. So I think guys like to see what kind of players we have.
The journey to the top of the mountain is the easy part. Staying there is twice as hard. Your guys are about to get every team's best shot. And the best teams are the ones that can take it on the chin and hit back even harder. MIT, WPI, Babson, they're all coming for your new MAC title this season. But Curley says this team, this version of the Lions, are good enough to repeat as champs. First up, it's the offensive leader of the squad, Jack O'Connor, the reigning new MAC tournament most outstanding player. He'll drain a three, you sleep on him, he'll then slam it on your head. So will Jared Houston. Not much lift off from him, but you won't find a better big man in the conference. Trevor McClain, the captain, with a 49% clip from three. Give him space in transition, he'll make you look silly. Feels like Ben Holding has been a Lion since World War I. The senior doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon, though. Then there's Jack Healy. Unlike Coach Jack, this kid can actually make a shot that's not in the paint. Jalen Ogadho has short shorts and an even stronger game. Good luck grabbing a rebound over big number 13. Jake Peter, one word, splash. Chad DiCenzo, lefty gang, too strong for you, too small to stop this pull-up. Hey, Nate, how's the air up there? It's not worth trying to sneak a floater past number 5. And if you leave him open, yeah, that's a worse idea than trying to take him to the rack. Safe Nabulsi, blue squad material. Zach Waterhouse has more bounce than you, and yeah, he can shoot it a little bit too. The new MAC Rookie of the Year is a problem, and he'll finish his career with the most posters in school history. Book it. Now for the freshman, the best word to describe Ben Allen, crafty, and maybe bouncy too, but hey, Coach Jack only sent 2 clips. Luke has a walking bucket. Steve Fabrizio, the best big to ever come from Duxbury. Facts. James Beckworth, Blue Squad Hall of Famer, first ballot unanimous decision. Ask Coach Jack what that means. Last but not least, James Gascoigne. That is by far the most athletic move anyone has ever made at Emerson, wearing the 14 jersey. And don't forget the coaches, the first staff in Emerson history to win the new MAC. Because right now, it's a real good day to be in Emerson.
So I think that kind of sums up, what these guys are able to do once they leave, and it shows what kind of players we bring in. And James Beckwith, we got to see him at your Super Bowl showcase, and a couple other things. He's out from Menlo Park there, so I think you guys do a great job in getting this, funneling kids out there and exposing them to us. And hopefully this is what we're trying to play for. We cracked the new MAC, getting in there, and finally we're able to win. And we think we're lined up, and it's not just good enough for us to win the league. We play in a tremendous league where we're getting two to four bids every year in the NCAA tournament. We've had a couple teams, the three or four teams, get to the Final Four since I've started coaching there 6 years ago, or 10 years ago overall. And we believe we're in line to really step up, and we're looking to get better. Any questions? Anything? Have I missed anything?
That was probably the best preview season video I've seen in 17 weeks. That was really good.
So
yeah, Coach Barrett was catching some shots on there.
Big time.
The journey.
Oh, sorry. So, and that's, we just want to get back to there. And I think we have the young guns, and, these guys are working hard, and they're great kids, and they're there for school first and foremost. And, our best player 2 years ago, he's playing in Israel now. He graduated with a 3.8, had a tremendous experience, averaged 20 and 10. So he got it done on the court and off the court. And this is what you come to school for. And, you're playing for an NCAA title, and you're playing a thing that matters. And once you graduate, these men's leagues, they're not cracked up what they're always great. No, when you're playing for something in college, it just means a little bit more. And we're just looking to get guys that really, want to be a part of something, and willing to sacrifice and build something special here.
And then you've been the head coach for 4 years now. Is that right?
I think I just finished my 6th year, maybe my 5th or 6th year. We've been there, I think, 9 overall. So I think it was just our 6th. We just finished our 6th year together. I kind of count Coach Barrett as, we came in with Coach O'Brien. My college coach took over, came out of retirement from Ohio State. And, he said, well, why don't you come on board? So we jumped on board, and, he said, I'm going back to the golf course. And so we both kind of stayed and took over the reins together.
That's good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Jason Smith so he can ask you some questions from All Academic Basketball.
Yeah, Coach, thanks for coming on tonight. A lot of love to talk about Boston. I'm coming live from South Boston right now, about a 20-minute walk from your guys' campus. So what you said is 100% true. You could walk from my house to the Garden in 30, 35 minutes. It really is insane how you can get everywhere so quick. But switching to the recruiting stuff, when you come to, whether it's one of our stuff, grassroots event, whatever it is, what do you look for in a player? And then on the Emerson side too, what do you look for in a person?
It's a good question. First and foremost, we need to find kids that can qualify academically. So the average incoming freshman last year had a 3.5 and probably about 1,250, 1,300 on the SAT. We can work with that a little bit, but that's like the starting point if you're hoping to get any kind of merit, we think. But so we're looking at that, and then we're looking for guys that are really willing to work. I think I kind of pride myself. It's not about can you shoot, how many shots you're going to shoot a game. Maybe I'm a little bit old school, but I believe that you play to make your teammates better. And so we're watching to see if guys are playing the game the right way. And, is there a wrong way? I don't know. I don't like pig ball. I like to see guys, get up and down the court. It's a running game. Like players play. Coaches, I don't want my players looking at me to call a play every time. So it's like, you guys are out there, get out there. Let's get a good shot, great shot. And if we don't have something, then we'll get into something. But we want to get out and run. And to do that, we got to find kids that are really dirt dogs that want to get after it and are willing to get themselves in great shape and can run all day and are disciplined enough to work on their games, because it's hard to play fast, and you have to commit to it. And everyone's, I want to play fast, but they don't really want to commit to running all the time. So we're seeing if kids run back on defense. We're looking at the little things, because anyone can throw the ball at the basket, but can you fit into a team framework? Do you quit on plays? All the little things that I think, I prided myself as a player, and Coach Barrett, I think, was the same way.
No, absolutely. And I grew up in Andover too, so I saw Coach Barrett doing that once in a while for the Golden Warriors.
Did he? He said he could play. I'm not sure though.
He was all right. And for a lot of these guys on right now from the West Coast, why don't you go into the NUMAC a little bit? They might not know how competitive of a conference that is. Why don't you go into what's that like night in, night out?
Well, I think that's really a great conference, first of all, because we don't start our league play until after the first Wednesday in January. And the great part about that too is because of where we're located, we're back on, the league starts, we play Wednesdays and Saturdays, so we got a great schedule from that standpoint. And, so you're only going to miss one day of class. You're not missing any days of class, but you're only going to be out on one school night. And usually we're back on campus by 9:30, 10. So from that standpoint, you have plenty of time to take care of business and to be that college student and to do all that. But it's just a tremendous conference. Our first 7 years, we just got into league, I want to say 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So we're newbies to it. And first, really up until last year was the first time that, we were able to crack the top four. It's been the top four teams, Babson, Springfield, WPI, have MIT have just had a chokehold. They always finish 1, 2, 3, 4 in one way or another. And so we kind of broke into that a year ago when we won the championship. And even though we didn't have the year that we hoped to have last year, we still came in at the top four there. So we think that it's a tremendous league and trying to get in there. And, you have to show up. And then the fifth place team this year, Coast Guard, ended up winning the championship. So it's you just have to it's just a battle.
Absolutely. I mean, I think obviously so many Massachusetts teams, but that's something that on the West Coast, I don't think they might be as familiar with as we are here in New England.
No, so we maybe we are a little biased, but we think we're one of the best conferences in the Northeast, if not the best.
Absolutely.
And you got teams that are getting to the Final Four and winning national champions. It's hard to argue that.
No, it really isn't. Going back to what you said earlier too, like I was a GA out of Arizona State a couple years ago, and I don't think I realized how much national impact Emerson people have on the sports industry. Like you were saying, like ran to 4 or 5 different guys, like you said, when you kind of intertwine with the NBA guys that come from Emerson. I'm just it's eye opening to see.
That's MLB, NHL, NFL. I mean, it's everywhere, and then the whole ESPN thing is incredible. So it's really a great major, and our kids, they might not want to be sports reporters, but they think they're going to be running a team. One of our players, he's running the 86ers for the Sixers G League team, and I want to be a GM. So his internship one year was running working for a minor league team for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and doing ticket sales, game day promotions, all that stuff now. And so he's on his way up that ladder, getting into that groove, and he thinks he's going to be up there pretty soon.
Wow. What do you think kind of separates you guys in the NUMAC and the Northeast overall too, with your style of play, kind of how you guys play basketball?
I just think it's I think it's a fun game. You know, I play for coaches that have played, coaches that haven't played, and it's not about me. You know, I think I've had a great career. I'm not scoring any more points or anything like that. I understand that. You know, I want to give back to the game. So I think we do a good job with our kids in terms of, you know, letting them be players. You know, is it going to be perfect? Are we going to make mistakes? Perhaps. But, you know, it's the players, they're the ones that have to get out there. So I think we do a fun job of keeping it interesting, you know, from practice to just getting out and trying to do it the right way and you know, play basketball. It's not like, oh, well, you're not allowed to shoot this shot. Why would you shoot that? And, you know, we want you to take it. If you're open, we believe take an open shot, you know, good shot, great shot. And, you know, we try to keep it that simple.
Coach, can you touch on the players that you've played with and the lessons you've learned from guys like Kevin Garnett and Joe Dumars and how that's impacted how you coach guys?
Well, it's just interesting when you see the different styles and different coaching styles with how you handle things. Where, you know, when I was with Dallas, with Nelly, with Dirk and Nash and Finley and those guys, and Nelly, if you weren't one of those three guys, you know, he'd talk to you, but it's like he was on those three guys because they're playing 48 minutes a game. You know, he wasn't going to be on, oh, why didn't you do this? And you're not the guy that's doing all that. He's getting on the guys that are getting the most responsibility, which I thought was interesting. I played on other teams where guys that are making quite a bit of money and then the coaches are afraid to talk to them and call them out. And you just kind of see the team slide a little bit. And then you see the players, oh, well, don't look at me. I'm not making 20 million. Yell at him, you know? So you start looking at things like that. But, you know, in terms of players, the best players are the ones that understand that it's a game and you come to work every day. And I love Kevin Garnett just because of he would play 48 minutes. And maybe his greatest gift is not being 7 feet or 6'11", whatever he goes by. It's his natural energy. You know, he would play 48 minutes the night before and he would come into practice at 9 a.m. and have that same energy. And, you know, you understand that practice is you start preparing the day before for that game. You don't wait for the game to start going. And what you see in the games is how he approached his practices and other guys, you know, they weren't quite practice players, but and I think that kind of sets a bad tone for a lot of kids these days because they well he's not going to go that hard, and so everyone else kind of it gets a little bit of slippage. But when your best players are guys that are the first in the gym, that are the last, that are enthusiastic, that are bringing that energy every day, you know, you're going to have a really good team because it comes down to the players, you know. They got to hold each other accountable, and they can do it better than any coach, really. And guys like Dumars, that you know, when I got there, he was my I was a rookie my first year, obviously playing with him, and he is just coming off the whole bad boy things with the championships, and you know, and Bear and Isaiah, all those guys retiring. So it was he's like, oh my God, now he's got Allen Houston, he's got some great players, Grant Hill, and all these guys, but they were just young. And it wasn't where he had been in the last couple of years. So it was a little bit of building process. So, you know, to teach you how to be a pro. And guys like Johnny Dawkins, you know, got Johnny Dawkins and Mark West and Ralph Addison. These guys, we all kind of lived together in the same complex. And they taught me what it was like to be a pro. And you got to get up. You know, I didn't play. You didn't get minutes that night. Come on, we got to go to the gym and get our workout in. You know, we got practice. Nope, you still got to get it in. So you learn from your players, your teammates best. And but guys like KG, I can't say enough. And it goes down the list. You know, we were in Houston, and the practices there kind of blew me away. And that was with Stevie Franchise, Francis there, and Katina Mobley, and that whole crew. And we get in there, and I just got picked up. And we're in the middle of the season, and practice was like literally like a 10-minute walkthrough, 20-minute walkthrough, and guys didn't have their shoes tied. I'm like, oh, this is incredible. But after, which was amazing, was you had the dream and he's out there working on his moves and doing suicides after practice for an hour and a half. So you didn't have to have this whole formal thing. It's work on, this is what we want to get done as a team, but then you got to do what you got to do to be prepared. And then you got this guy that's been in the league for 14, 15 years, 16, whatever it was at that point. And he's running suicides and going up and down, doing sprints and working on his game well after practice is over. So you just learn from things like that. And it's that's what it's about. It's not about me. It's about what we're doing, and it's about our guys. Are they going to commit themselves to being better and to making our team better?
Talk about a experience and a resume of building a philosophy in coaching, and leads to a new MAC title, which is well deserved. But Coach, we only have a couple more minutes here. Is there anything that we haven't touched upon that you want to tell the players and potential recruits for the future about Emerson and your program?
Let me just see if Coach Barrett texted me to see if I forgot anything. I think we pretty much hit it. And again, I think it's just a great school, and it's something that you really have to it's people have, do they want to live in the city or not, but it's such a great city to be in, and you really can't, the pictures and going online, I don't think really does it justice until you see how engaging the students are, the student athletes are, and the space they have in there. I know I've brought you through the buildings, and you see the different studios and the rooms they have in there. Then you're just amazed that it goes back and there's all this classroom and workspace. So it really just doesn't do it justice to sit here and talk about it. But unfortunately, we're in a situation right now where we're not having any visitors, and we're not even allowed to go out and recruit right now. So it's just a strange time for us, and we're going to do our best, and you just got to continue to prepare, because at some point everyone's going to be going somewhere. So you continue to work and be ready when you get that opportunity.
Oh, 100%. We really appreciate you coming on tonight. I've been blessed for the past 3 years, except for this year, to go to Emerson every year. It's a stop we do on our Ivy League tour. And if you are interested in Emerson, Coach Curley's email, their Instagram, their Twitter, it's all in the chat box on the side. So, please reach out and express your interest. And then, we really appreciate you coming on tonight. And, we hope to see you soon and hope you're safe. And I'm sure before no time, we'll see you back in the gym.
Sounds good, guys. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Good luck, and we miss you guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. You have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.
Peace.
Without further ado, Coach Ryan Hyland from John Jay. We appreciate you coming on tonight. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. Really excited. Loved hearing about Emerson and Coach Curley. That was awesome.
Coach, can we get started by going over your coaching journey and how you ended up at John Jay?
Sure. So originally from New York City, grew up in a little town called Breezy Point. Wound up going to college down at Catholic University down in D.C., another Division III school. Spent 4 years kind of doing a little bit of everything down there, from being a manager to a player to a student assistant before my time was up, and was really fortunate to jump right onto the staff right when I graduated there. Coach Steve Howes gave me a great opportunity to get started. Spent 3 years there as an assistant coach, got my master's while I was there, and at the ripe old age of 24, got hired up here at John Jay. And my AD at the time, Carol Cashtow, took a great chance on me, and had the opportunity to come back to New York, which was always something I was interested in doing, and to have an opportunity to run my own program and kind of take my lumps early on and figure it out, and take a little bit of what I learned at Catholic and try to create something of my own with it.
That's awesome. I know, Coach, you have a presentation to go over John Jay. Let me switch this over.
Sure. So there's a quick video, and then I'm going to go through a couple of slides there. So I imagine most people are not too familiar with John Jay on the call here. So let me make this clear. All right. I'm going to let this go. Can you guys see everything?
Yeah, looks great.
All right. Let me just make sure the audio is going. There we go.
Wait! Okay, now, from the
The
beginning.
audio coming through yet?
Yep.
There's no college anywhere in the world quite like John Jay, the only college in the nation with a mission to educate for justice. It's my distinct honor and privilege to serve
Oh,
as its president. Here at John Jay, our students receive a rich liberal arts education that helps them think critically, problem solve, and question inequities. John Jay students are defined by their resilience and passion for justice. Our dynamic and diverse student body includes veterans, immigrants, activists, and researchers, all ready to become tomorrow's global leaders. John Jay is the ideal place for local, national, and global leaders from across the political spectrum to gather and discuss the many justice-focused issues that affect our families, communities, and our country. Come join the conversation. This is your opportunity to become a fierce advocate for justice.
All right. Did that play okay?
That was good.
oh yeah.
Good, good. So just to give a little bit of an overview, it's a great video our admissions team put together. Talks a little bit about John Jay and kind of our mission, obviously educating for justice. But I also want to just show pull up one more thing real quick. It talks a little bit about our program and kind of where we are in terms of the city as well. There we go. So what we're looking at here is kind of the main part of campus.
Hi,
Just to
I'm
give you guys an
Debbie,
idea
a
of where
senior
we're
at the John Jay
located.
College of
So
Criminal
John Jay is
Justice.
located
And I'm
right in
Chris.
the
I'm
middle
a
of New
junior
York
at
City.
John Jay.
We are on
First time I got
59th
here,
Street
it
and
was a
10th
far
Avenue,
cry from
which
the
is
South
smack
Shore
in the
of
middle
Long
of
Island.
Midtown on the west
Me,
side.
I'm a lifelong
Oh,
New
Which you
Yorker,
see
born and raised. Yet, the first
Still
time
playing?
of these steps, I knew
Oh.
I was entering a whole other world.
John Jay College is part of
I think you still got a video going.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Sometimes this thing works, sometimes it doesn't.
That's how it goes.
We're going to make it happen.
All right. Can we see the
Police and the liberal arts.
slideshow
The
now?
idea
Sorry.
was that if you gain a
The
well-rounded
video started
knowledge of
again.
the world, then you can understand how justice fits in.
some
All right. Let's just scrap that for now.
Well, Coach, you want to give us an
I'm not
overview
sure
of your
what's going on
basketball program? I mean, we're having technical difficulties here for whatever reason, but can you go over the basketball program
problem.
and talk about your last 4 years there and how you've done an incredible turnaround at John Jay?
Sure. So when I took over in 2014, my job was pretty much tasked with taking a program that had struggled for a little while, had been around for 50 years, but really just hadn't had a ton of success. And my vision and our staff's vision really aligned with our athletic director in terms of doing our best to operate it like a Division I program and looking at and targeting recruits that kind of fit the identity of the program we were trying to build. So what we looked to do right off the bat was bring in, high character, high academic players. We weren't going to cut any corners just from an athletic standpoint. We really wanted to build it with guys that we thought fit our ideology. And it took some time to do so. So 6 years ago, 5 years ago, we really took our lumps in terms of changing the culture of the program. I know it's an overused word, but it really is what we were doing. We started to see some success in kind of years 3 and 4, and then really these last two have helped us kind of see through the vision that we had written out on paper there about 6 years ago. This past season, we had the best program the best season in program history. Finished our regular season 20-5, went 13-1 in our conference. Just had an absolutely great season with some really special players, some guys who have gone on to score thousand points, 1,000 rebounds, guys who will surely be Hall of Fame players for us down the road. And one of our guys actually just won Player of the Year this year, Doug Levy, just signed a contract to go play for Afula out in Israel. So just a really great year. A guy who bought into a vision 4 years ago, and him and his class were able to kind of take that vision and turn it into a reality for the group that they were playing with this year.
I know you touched upon the high academic portion. You know, John Jay is a top academic university in the country. Can you talk about the academic portion of John Jay and the different majors that are offered?
Sure. So we are the John Jay College of Criminal Justice. It is what we specialize in. 60 years ago, it's what the school was founded on. It was founded as the College of Police Science. So the word cops literally came from, the John Jay's ideology in the beginning. Since then, it has kind of transformed from being a school that was solely focused on criminal justice and educating for criminal justice and putting people into the police force. We have 31 different majors now. We are a full-fledged liberal arts college. We have 40 minors, 3 doctoral programs, 17 master's programs, and they range the spectrum from criminal justice all the way down through economics to social sciences, cellular, molecular biology. So we have students and we have players on our team that kind of span that spectrum of learning, all of which under kind of the liberal arts umbrella, preparing them for a well-rounded approach to get kicked out the door at 22 and go get a really great job.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to go pass it over to Jason Smith, who's going to ask you some questions about recruiting and John Jay.
Yeah, Coach, one thing that's impressed me too, my first look at the program was the turnaround, like Scotty said. I mean, especially in a short time frame, it's really impressive. What's one of the things, maybe when you started coaching or when you got there in general, that you were like, this is a core principle of our program, we're going to go ahead with this, that kind of ended up coming to fruition the last year or two?
I think I've been really fortunate to be surrounded by some great assistant coaches. And a few years back, we kind of had a paradigm shift in terms of what really we prioritize when we're out looking at recruiting. It's important for us to, get good players in the door. And obviously talent is what everyone's looking for. But we realized that in order to build the program that we wanted and the way we wanted, we had to identify those traits, more than the ability to shoot the ball or the ability to dunk or score. So we sat there for a few hours. We kind of bounced ideas left and right. We came up with this kind of mantra that is summarized pretty simply as blue collar. And if you look up any of the stuff we talk about on social media or any of the t-shirts or things in our gym or in our offices, blue collar is kind of everywhere we go. It's a play on words because our mascot's collar is a dog. He's a dog, obviously. And the mascot's collar is literally blue. It obviously ties into the identity of the school and what it was, blue collar workers going into the kind of, blue collar jobs. But I think it really resonates strong with the type of players that we have. Well, we want guys who fit that blue collar mindset. They don't have to be kind of, sexy all the time. They're going to get the job done, whatever it is, however it needs to get done. And I think that mindset in terms of recruiting has just elevated our practices, has elevated our academics, has elevated just our style of play overall. We're able to be a little bit grittier, a little bit tougher. We stared down a couple of games this year and even the year before that I think, we would have maybe ran away from or crumbled under pressure in the past few years. So blue collar is kind of what we turn back to whenever we're looking at a kid. A lot of coaches say, does he fit us? For us, does he fit the blue collar mindset? Because one of our guys put it perfectly a few years back. A white collar job, you get vacation days, you have a salary, you can call in sick, you're still going to get your paycheck. For us, for blue collar guys, for the guys we're talking about in our program, you have to show up every day. You're getting paid for the work you put in. You're carrying your lunch pail, you're putting your hard hat on. If you're not showing up to work that day, the job is not getting done.
I love that. That's, to a 13-1, you got to have that mindset. You have a couple games, you got to get in the trenches and really close out. How do talk about how you guys kind of bring that mindset to the classroom as well? I saw your entire team pretty much last year had 3.0 GPAs or higher in school, not just coming in as a recruit.
Yeah, the recruits come in with some pretty good GPAs, but I think we all know that college is quite an adjustment. So We have a really great support staff from our coaching staff, where we oversee the academic side of things, and we've done a really good job in that regard the past couple of years of being there for our guys and whatever it is that they need. We oversee a ton of it. It's definitely very structured for the ones that need the structure. But we also have a great support staff within our department. We have somebody strictly in our athletic department whose job is to oversee academics, compliance, and eligibility. So our guys, our incoming freshmen, our incoming transfers, the new kids to campus, they're meeting with her once a week. They're obviously meeting with our staff frequently as well. And it's led to a ton of success. This fall, we had a 3.2 as a team, which was the highest that, any John Jay men's basketball program has ever had. And we were thrilled about that. And then these guys went around and doubled down on it and actually came back in the spring with a 3.5 as a team for 16 guys, living in the middle of New York City with plenty of distractions, playing basketball. Was just so proud of the effort they put in and how they held each other accountable. And it became, the competitiveness that we had on the court, that we had in practices. Sure enough, that turned over into the classroom where, guys are holding up their test with a 99 on it or their paper with an A on it and wearing it like a badge of honor into practice.
Wow, that's awesome. Because coming in from high school is one thing, but keeping that mindset and that accountability at college is a completely other animal. When you talk about the blue collar mindset too, what do you, if you show up to a showcase, a camp, a tournament, whatever it is, what qualities do you see that kind of show that mindset?
We're never really looking at the flashiest guy. I think that a lot of the stuff that catches a lot of coaches' eyes or that recruits think will catch a lot of coaches' eyes are a turnoff for us. We want to see the guys who are talking. We want to see the guys who are strapping up and playing D. We want to see the guys that are selfless. And I know there's a lot of coaches that look for that as well. A big thing for us is versatility. We had 16 guys in our program last year. On paper, we had one guy who was a point guard and one guy who was a center. And if I showed you a picture, you could probably pick those two out right away. It was the smallest and the biggest guy. And then we have 14 guys that were really versatile, that could play 2 or 3 positions, that could guard 3 or 4 positions for us. And to the way we play defensively, which is 94 feet, pressing, running, getting up and down, to offensively, where we spent a lot of the year playing in a 5-out type of setup with 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" on the court at all times. So we love the versatility. We love to see guys who can kind of step outside the box that maybe they've been put in and really grow. And I think that's something, obviously, you see basketball at every level is kind of trending towards that way. And I think we're right in the midst of it with our group.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I love teams that play like that. What's the admissions process kind of like at John Jay too?
So there's a couple different processes. We are a state school. So for a New York State student, there's a little bit different process. Obviously, I would imagine 99% of the people we're talking to tonight are not from New York State, which is totally fine as well. John Jay is the best criminal justice program in the world. So we have students from all over the place. In my 6 years, we've had kids from Seattle, Miami, Boston, Philly. Our soccer team, our women's soccer team, seems to be growing more and more West Coast oriented every single year. So the attraction of New York City, the attraction of the criminal justice programs that we have, naturally draw from across the world, across the country and across the world. So our admissions process, even just in the 6 years that I've been here, has constantly getting more competitive and shifted earlier and earlier. So our application process begins now. Like it's open now. We have somewhat of a rolling admissions process, and at the same time, it's like an unofficial early admission, if that makes sense at all. We have a school that most people wouldn't imagine has 13,000 undergraduates in it. So each class that we're bringing in is a large amount of students, so that they begin that process early. It's a fairly simple process, and it seems to be getting even simpler this year in the sense of, the SATs are no longer a requirement just because of everything that's going on. So it's an application and it's sending in your transcript, and, there's not much more on top of that.
How about Scotty?
Coach, can you touch upon the conference you play in, and who do you play against all season you're competing for, a title for?
Sure. So we're part of the CUNYAC conference. It's the City University of New York Athletic Conference. So just to backtrack a little bit, CUNY, the City University of New York, encompasses 10 four-year colleges. 9 of them were in our league. One of them is a Division II school. Staten Island, who was the 9th, just left and actually bumped up to Division II as well. So there's 8 of us left. Hunter College, City College in New York, Baruch, Brooklyn College, and a few others. And we're all located within about 9 miles on the map. So it is really competitive. All of our guys know each other, it seems like. Through the summer, through the fall, they're actually playing in outside leagues, and they get very friendly with each other. So it makes our games, when we get to January and February in our conference tournament, it makes them even more competitive. The conference has been one of the ones for the last 50 years that has constantly been evolving and changing. When it started a long time ago, it was everything you would imagine a New York City conference in terms of the guard play, and as scrappy as it could be. And if you watch the games now, we have some of the best coaches in the country, I think, in our league. It's the highest level of basketball, offensively and defensively, that you can find around this area. And for our guys to be able to, and a lot of the other colleges are as well, to be able to recruit nationally, that influx of talent has just raised the bar each and every year.
Wow, that's awesome. You guys are all so close. What's a typical week for you guys in season, travel-wise, practice, whatever else it is?
Sure. So in the fall, obviously we're playing most of our non-conference slate, so we're traveling all over. We try to take our guys anywhere that anybody will play us. So, every road trip we go on, I'm a firm believer in it's more than just a basketball game. So we try to schedule things outside of the trip. Like we went down to DC, had a great tour of the Capitol building. We went up to Pittsburgh. We had a tour of PNC Park, and just got to spend some time out there. Me and my staff, we love to eat, so we're always trying to find the best restaurants on the road, especially when we're playing those kind of distance games or those non-conference games. Because, like I said, when we get into conference play, it is pretty close. It might take an hour to go a mile and a half sometimes, but all of the games are pretty close. A regular week for us is 6 practices. That off day kind of rotates. One of the really cool things about what we have at John Jay is we practice every day at 2:00. So our guys' schedule is kind of morphed around that. From 1:30 to 3:00 at John Jay every day is called community hour. So we don't have any classes scheduled. So none of our guys are missing classes for practice, and none of our guys are missing practice for class. So we got 16 guys in the gym every single day we step on the court, which is selfishly for me, it's tremendous.
It's huge, yeah.
So our guys will start classes most days somewhere around 8 or 9 a.m. They'll bang out 2 or 3 classes, and sure enough, they're in the gym ready to go at 1:30. We lock the door, start the clock at 2. We're going hard for 2 hours. We never, these past 3 years, we've never gone over 2 hours in and out. And then we're usually doing something after practice off the court. Might be film, might be a lift, might be a stretch. I've got a great staff, so that's usually a lot of time for them to work with our guys, either in smaller groups or large groups. And then we also try to incorporate usually 2 or 3 times a week some kind of culture activity. So we'll spend some time with our guys. Like last year, we read a book together. We'll go through articles, current events. We'll play movies. We'll play TV clips. We'll look up Bruce Springsteen lyrics and try to figure out what the heck they mean. We're constantly trying to find things that are a little bit outside the box, have nothing to do with basketball, but are going to help that kind of well-rounded approach of a student athlete that we're trying to build.
That's awesome. And obviously we're in a kind of a weird year this year, and you've changed the culture. We talked about that earlier. Where do you find players that fit the John Jay mold?
We found them everywhere. I think I've mentioned a few times, I've been really, really fortunate with some great assistants. We found some guys that are, about 20 blocks away, and we've found some guys at Cleveland High School out in Seattle, Washington. So, it's a unique school. It's a unique setup. It's a unique place. The people and the coaches and the families that know what John Jay is and what John Jay stands for often seek us out, which is obviously tremendous. And then it becomes kind of a vetting process on our end. But, we're out on the road. In a normal year, we're out on the road. We don't limit ourselves to just New Yorkers. We don't just limit ourselves to the city. I have a staff that is willing to get in the car or get on a plane and go wherever they need to go. So We try to recruit as wide of a net as possible and then kind of scale it back from there. For us, it's got to make sense in a lot of ways. New York City is not for everybody. An urban campus is not for everybody. We're pretty clear and upfront with guys, and I guess I can just say it now and probably get it to a few hundred people that, like, if you want to be a poet, we're probably not the place for you. If you have interest in going into the FBI, the DEA, Secret Service, then, we should probably talk a little bit. So it really is a specific place. We have a really defined niche, but the niche is really growing every year. We're 15-minute walk from about 20 Fortune 500 companies. So if you want to do economics, you can be really successful, and the internship availability and the alumni network in that world is really strong and only getting stronger. So we're not just a criminal justice school, but we are really, really good in the criminal justice field.
How is the alumni network and the job placement with your players, and you being the best criminal justice program in the world? What kind of careers have you seen your guys go off to?
They've gone everywhere. Like I said, Doug's going to play basketball for a little while, but I'm sure he'll wind up coming back eventually and landing in a great job. He was an economics major for us. Had an internship lined up with Morgan Stanley before he was asked to go play in Brazil last summer. But we've had guys who've graduated in the past couple of years that are, some of them have gone to grad school. Some are working for the Border Patrol down in Miami. We have guys who are signed up and waiting to hear from the Secret Service. We have guys who are on the NYPD and working their way up through the ranks there. And it's really unique. We have, like you said, we have such a strong base that these employers come to us, and our career center is unlike a lot of the smaller schools that you might see where they're constantly reaching out to the bigger programs or companies. These companies are coming to us. We host 2 enormous job fairs just for John Jay students every year, one each semester, where we have 120 companies come in, from Morgan Stanley to Citibank to the Alaskan State Troopers. And, they're there to meet with our students because they know what they bring to the table with the education that they're getting, the opportunities that they have as undergraduates. Similar to Coach Curley was saying, we have professors that are not career academics. They have a 20-year FBI degree, and now they're teaching, introductory to, Secret Service planning or whatever it may be. It's a different type of learning. It's really hands-on. It's really based in experience, which is a great opportunity for our students.
No, that's awesome. And the last thing I wanted to ask you is, you've kind of developed a pretty good coaching tree. Can you speak on your assistants going off and becoming head coaches? And you have a pretty large staff at John Jay from what I saw online too. I haven't seen that many assistants on a website in a while.
I do. It's only because they're so good. I couldn't say no. And I have. I mean, it's just serious. It's really serious. Each of them have such a defined area of specialty, and they've been so good in it. And the guys who've kind of moved on have taken a little bit that they've learned, and obviously we've learned a ton from them while they were here. But they're head high school coaches in Michigan. They're D2 assistants down in Texas. We have an assistant coach at NYU who's only a few blocks away, so we still get to see him. Assistant coach or a head coach who's in our league at CCNY. So these guys have done such a great job they've done such a great job for us that other people are taking notice. And I'm just really fortunate. I get into practice or I get into a meeting or we go into film, and my voice does not have to be the one that's constantly on. I'm able to turn it over to one of our coaches to work on player development, who was a hell of a lot better player than I was, or somebody talk about the film who watched it and broke it down and analytically understands it a little bit better than I do, or a coach who's going to get in the car and drive 6 hours and go recruiting and find a diamond in the rough because I couldn't that day. So I have full faith and trust in these guys, and the 6 that are still with me are going to go be great coaches somewhere else someday too. And I think all of that just reflects on the program that we have and the great guys that we have in it.
No, that's awesome. We only have a couple more minutes left, Coach. Is there anything that you want to touch upon that we didn't get to tonight?
I think we covered a ton. What I was going to try to show in the middle of it is just kind of where we're located. We're right smack in the middle of Midtown Manhattan. If you walk out our front door, it's about an 8-minute walk to Central Park. If you make a quick right there, it's about another 2 minutes so about a 10-minute walk to Times Square. Our dorms are actually located on 34th Street, which is about a 15-minute walk from our campus, but our dorms are overlooking Madison Square Garden. If you look out one window, it's down the block from the Empire State Building. You look out the other window, it's right on line with the Freedom Tower. So, if you're looking for an experience in the middle of New York City, there's really not a better place to be living than, 34th Street and 8th Avenue and looking down on where the Knicks live every night.
And, we on a normal year, we come to with our East Coast Ivy League tour, and I'm really looking forward to coming to see John Jay next year. We're going to make sure that's a stop on when we're doing our big East Coast swing. So really appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing this with the players and us. And, we look forward to hopefully seeing you soon, and hopefully you're safe and your family's doing well.
Yeah, Jason, Scott, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. This has been awesome. And, hope I was able to talk a little bit about something someone might be interested in.
No, really appreciate it. And we'll hope to see you soon.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Coach.
There he is.
How we doing?
Good. How's everything with you?
Great. That was really informative. I'm glad I got to sit in on the last presentation. Great stuff.
Yeah, we're it's our final week. We're bringing in the heavy hitters. So
Absolutely.
You're the coup de grace.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but hey.
The pressure's on. So, Coach, can we go and get started? And can you go over your coaching journey and how you ended up at Pacific?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've actually been in our conference, went to school in our conference, and then coached at the University of Puget Sound for 14 years prior to taking over at Pacific. And it's one of those things where, I left Puget Sound. We had a hell of a year, my last year there, and went to Pacific just for a change of scenery, just a change of a different journey, another challenge. Pacific hasn't had a lot of success basketball-wise in 20 plus years. So I loved everything the university was about, and was really excited to come to campus and take over and see if we could change this thing around and get it going.
Puget Sound, you had a great career over there and came over to Pacific. Can you talk about your basketball style and the basketball program? I know you guys play a fun style of the Pacific.
Yeah, absolutely. We play a very, very unique style, system oriented, but we're not, I wouldn't call us a complete system team. And what I mean by system oriented is, sub 5 in, 5 out every minute. We're going to be pressing and trapping for 40 minutes. We're going to utilize the 3 ball, get a lot of shots up. I mean, we play extremely high tempo. I would say that we, out of all the system teams, I would say we're a little bit more disciplined, being in the half court defensively, and then offensively, we're going to try to get quick shots. We practice with a 12-second shot clock, but we're not going to take bad shots. Now, from our point of view, now you might come watch us play and you're going, well, that's not a very good shot, but like for us, it is. So taking quick threes and playing that is big. I mean, we were, out of 400 plus Division III teams across the country, we were 3rd in scoring. We were 4th in 3-point field goals per game. We were 4th in steals per game. Our turnover, we were 8th in the country in turnover margin. 3-point field goal attempts, we were 6th. And turnovers forced per game, we were 5th in the country. So when people talk about playing fast and playing up tempo, we fulfill those things. It's a great style, lots of fun to play. We play a lot of guys. And we're just trying to dictate the game, which makes it a lot of fun.
Kids love it too.
Yeah, they do.
Very fun stuff.
Yeah.
Can you touch upon the academic portion of Pacific?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of give everyone a background on Pacific, we're located in the Pacific Northwest. We're located in Oregon. We're 20 miles west of downtown Portland. Forest Grove is a small town. It's 26,000. Literally, the university was, the town of Forest Grove was built around the university. It's one of the oldest schools west of the Mississippi. When the university was created, it was actually created as an orphanage for all the children that lost their families on the Oregon Trail. So the whole ideology behind the university is really based off of service and helping people. And if you look at our degrees, we have 67 different majors. So for a school that's 2,000 undergraduate, 1,000 undergraduate program on campus, to have 67 different majors speaks volumes. So we're very unique that way. But if you look at the structure of our classroom, you look at the structure of our majors, most everything is really based off of service and helping people, which is how the university was founded. So we're heavy hitters on the health and science. Business is a big thing. There's one 4-year university in Washington County, and that's Pacific. And the big companies that are in Washington County, you've got Nike, obviously everyone knows that one, which is located in Beaverton. You've got Columbia, you've got Intel. So as far as everything that's in our area, a lot of companies are looking to reach out to Pacific as far as internships and job opportunities. And if you know anything about Portland, it's one of the most booming small businesses area in the country. So there's a lot to offer as far as academics and the degree you get from our place.
I mean, big companies. I travel up to the Pacific Northwest. It's amazing the opportunities when it comes to the different corporations where you can get, a long-term job and have a lucrative career.
Absolutely.
Can you touch upon your conference and who you play against and where you guys are at currently in the conference as you're building this program?
Oh, well, we're located. So our conference is the Northwest Conference. It's been one of the elite conferences in Division III basketball. The last 5 years, we've had teams, get to everywhere from the Final Four to consistently in the Elite Eight and Sweet 16s. So very tough conference. There's 4 schools that are located in the state of Washington: University of Puget Sound, Pacific Lutheran University, Whitman and Whitworth, and then there's 5 colleges that are located in Oregon: ourselves, Lewis and Clark, George Fox, Linfield, and Willamette. And those are the 9 schools that are in our conference. And it's a battle every night and day. My last year at Puget Sound was the year we won 18 games and we're ranked as high as 25th in the country. And Whitman made the Final Four that year, and we ended up losing a heartbreaker at the end versus them at our place. But that's just kind of the nature of our conference. I mean, every game's going to be a battle. So extremely competitive conference, and not only just competitive basketball wise, but you look at all of the schools in our conference, so good academically. And so I think that's one of the things that's really, really big.
Especially the West Coast is coming. I mean, the SCIAC, the Northwest Conference. Absolutely. I mean, Division III hoops has been concentrated on the East Coast, but since the past 4 or 5 years, so it's coming out west here quickly. I mean, there's some great schools, and we've been lucky enough to send guys to these different schools. So, it's very, very competitive. I'm going to go and toss it over to Jason Smith, who's going to ask you some more questions on recruitment and your program.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Coach, thanks for coming on. One thing I'm really interested in is, obviously, like Scotty and you touched on, you guys play such a unique style. So when you're watching potential recruits, not everyone's playing your style. So what do you kind of look for that translates to success in your program?
Boy, and can I share my screen with you guys? Okay, great. This is a great question. And one of the big things for us when we're looking for recruits, we use the acronym by what we call RES, which is resiliency, effort, and selflessness. And those are the 3 things that, like, when we start thinking about being able to play in our system and play in our style of play, like those 3 things you've got to have. You've got to be resilient. And when we bring up resiliency and we bring up effort, sometimes those kind of get brought together where we mean them in a different way. Resiliency to us is, I listened to Nick Saban speak, and he was talking to a football camp, and he brought up what resiliency meant to him. And he brought up a horror figure by the name of Freddy Krueger, and I'm pretty sure you guys know who that is. But he was explaining how Freddy Krueger was resilient. You think you kill him one time by burn him, and he's coming in with the claw, and and I think that's one of the things that we've always tried to instill in our guys is just that, hey, with how we play, especially the game of basketball, anyways. You've got to have that mindset, like you're never going to stop. You get knocked down, you make mistakes, you got to keep going at them. And that's really something that we really preach with our guys. Effort. I mean, obviously every coach is looking for a player that's going to play with maximum effort all the time. And selflessness. I mean, with how we play, you've got to know, you've got to have the IQ and you got to have the selflessness to make that extra pass or extra play. To make the winning play. So I think those are the three things that we really focus on. And as far as recruiting goes, these are the things that we really hone in on when we talk about what we're going to look for recruiting wise. And so the biggest thing we talk about is are you coachable? We're extremely passionate and aggressive, with how we play and how we coach. And so, when we go watch players play, one of the things I'll watch guys and how they interact with their coaches. Are they during a timeout, are they making eye contact? Are they engaged with the bench? Those are big things for us because, we're investing in these players for 4 years and we want to make sure that they're going to be coachable. So one of the things I always ask for when I'm going to watch a player play is to see them in adverse situations, because it's obviously easy to always look good when things are always going your way. But you really find out the true character of a player when you see them in adverse situations when things aren't going their way. So one of the things I always ask with all of our assistant coaches, with anyone that's watched them play is hey, are they coachable? Do they take coaching? So that's a big thing for us. Next thing is being a great teammate. Players would be so surprised that, and I think a lot of players, are so focused on how many points can I get? Can I show, this stat or this stat, where I think a lot of times when college coaches are evaluating players, they're not necessarily looking about how many points they can score or how many rebounds they can get or how many assists they can, a dime out. I mean, they're looking more at these, internal characteristics. And so being a great teammate, obviously being positive, giving high fives, being enthusiastic, being energetic is really, really important. But there's the other part about being a great teammate that I think is really, really valuable for the type of player we're looking for. And that all comes down to holding your teammates to a high standard. So with that being said, that usually introduce conflict, which we know nowadays kids are a little, less, don't want to be as involved in conflict situations. And that's really, really big for us. So I always bring up the example of what a great teammate looks like to me is if a coach were to say, hey, get on the line, you guys got a 16 sideline to sideline, right? And coach says, touch the line. So I'm running next to that player, and he doesn't touch the line, and we get done running. Well, what great teammates do is they're going to hold that player to a high standard. They're going to hold them accountable with whatever it looks like. But those are the things that are really, really big for us because, internal leadership is what we preach all the time. We're only around our guys for, 19 weeks. That's all we get. And so at Division III level, you've got to recruit and you've got to have self-motivated players that are going to go the extra effort, but are also going to have discipline with their action. So being a great teammate is all about being positive, is all about giving high fives and doing all that great stuff, but it's also holding your teammates to a high standard. And so that's really one of the things that when we look at players and we recruit players and we talk to their coaches and we talk to their AAU coaches, we'll ask, how great of a teammate is he? Does he hold his teammates to a high standard? So that's really, really big for us. How hard you play, obviously, this goes back with the adversity thing. When things aren't going your way, If you're 0 for 7 from the 3 or your team's getting their butts kicked, like what does that look like as far as your effort goes? Because with how we play, you don't have any time to take a play off or to relax. So maximum effort and playing hard is really, really big. And then the other thing is the competitive side. How important is winning? We want competitors. We want guys that are, not only want to, show up on Friday and Saturdays to play in, conference games, but want to win in everything they do, whether that's sprints, whether that's shooting drills, whether that's, 3-on-3, 2-on-2, just competing at everything. And everything we do is really, really based off of building that competitive environment. When I was in Tacoma, I was very fortunate enough to be able to go to some Seahawks practices and, see Pete Carroll, who's the head coach for the Seattle Seahawks, see him, orchestrate his practices, and everything they did was so competitive. And you're talking about millionaires just competing their tails off. But the whole structure was everything that they did. There was a winner, there was a loser, next man up. If you weren't going to show up for practice, that's fine. You can take a seat. We got someone else that's going to show up, that's going to compete. So, when we talk to coaches, when we talk to, players, and we talk to, their families and all that stuff, I mean, that's one of the big things that comes to play for us is how competitive are you? And not just in hoop, but in everything. I mean, obviously being, an academic school that's very rigorous, we want guys that are going to compete in the classroom too. So those are in general, when we start looking for recruits and we go out and we talk to coaches and we really dig in, those are the 4 things that really stand out for us. So not necessarily how many points you can score or any of that stuff. It's all these intangibles that are really, really big for us. So that's when we recruit, these are the things we're really big on.
That's really interesting. I think those things complement you guys' style really well. And, I think it's something at our events too, our showcases, it's like, you have so many things that you can control, your intangibles that coaches are really looking for that aren't just, did you make that corner 3? Did your bounce pass get through the post? Whatever it might be. I think there's a lot of things you can control, and that's something you guys are looking for. I think it's important for guys to understand, something I talk about a lot at our events.
Well, you guys, I'm telling you, you guys are the best. I mean, with everything you guys preach and everything you guys talk about culture, and not only, do you just, I think the word culture is so cliche, like everyone culture, like, but the way you define it is so big, and I'm just glad to be on your guys' show and impressed with everything you guys do for the student athletes out there. It's amazing.
You've always been a supporter. You and Coach Miner have always been great to us. So
yeah, Coach Miner's the man. He makes me look good.
He's high energy. You want high energy? Coach Miner's high energy.
Yeah, he is for sure.
How are you recruiting to your style and what your program stands for with the pandemic? How do you evaluate that stuff on live streams and tape?
Boy, it's hard. And I think a lot of it comes down to conversations that take place with coaches, AAU coaches, to high school coaches, just because, there's only so much you can really see on film. And a lot of times you don't really get to see all of those things that we're talking about, as far as things we're recruiting. So it's like what we tell our coaches all the time, is really, really dig into, the person from the coach's perspective. Because I think, both AAU and high school coaches and junior college coaches give a great perspective. And we're one of those, style of play that, like, we're going to recruit in bunches. I mean, we have a JV program that we, will play, 14 to 16 games per season. Which is all junior college. And then there's a few other 4-year colleges in the area that play. So we're constantly looking for players, and like I said, we'll recruit in bunches. But to go back to your answer, I mean, I think this is all kind of thrown everyone off for a twist, and things have been really, like, it's just been crazy. And I had a newcomer parent conversation or Zoom call last week. And the 2 things that I've been preaching to our guys during this whole pandemic is one, you got to be adaptable. Like, you just have to be, because the way things are nowadays, things can change so quickly. So you've got to have a mindset of being adaptable, and then you got to be positive. Everything's going to be different. We've got all of our, freshmen moving in tomorrow and Thursday. We've got a bunch of our newcomers, and our returners returning back to campus, and it's not going to be the same with what they've been used to. And I think sometimes when things aren't the same or aren't routine-ish for you, you have a tendency to go negative. That's just how nature works. And so just reminding our guys that they've got to be adaptable with every situation. And then they've got to be positive. I think it's really, really big. So, it's hard. We're having to think a little bit outside the box as far as our recruit goes. I mean, Coach Miner is our head recruiter, recruiting coach. And obviously with all the things he does through Max Hoops and being involved that way, he's able to get a great feel and vibe for all of our recruits. But, we're always going to recruit, at our level. You have to, since we don't have, athletic scholarships, you're going to have to recruit at a high number. That's the way it's always going to be. It's good to have Coach Miner on our side. And, like I said, he works his tail off.
You touched on the no athletic scholarships at the Division III level. How is the aid at Pacific, and what is the cost associated? Has that changed because of COVID-19 at all?
Well, so, for this year, we've, anyone who's full-time enrolled, starting this semester, gets a free semester of school. And they can use that in whatever way they want, but whether it's their, they want to, kind of not delay the process, but, try to finish up in 4.5, or, if they want to get done in 4 and then use that for the master's program, that's one of the things that we've offered. But, we're 49,000 tuition. All the liberal arts colleges in our conference are around that. I feel like we package very well. I think it's pretty straight up as far as GPA and SAT. And then one of the things I'll always say that's great about Pacific, and it's just how it is as a university, is like, if you get admitted into Pacific, like, they're going to do everything they can to make it work. Now, sometimes that's not enough, and, we can't make it work. But as far as, helping and, putting forth, opportunities for other scholarships, they do a really nice job. We've got what we call an honors program at Pacific, and pretty much that's 50 students that are selected from their GPA and their SAT, and then also their application process. They get selected for that, and they get brought onto campus. And just by doing that alone, you get a $1,000 scholarship for 4 years, so $4,000. And you can earn up anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 to full tuition. So they've got some really creative ways of just making things feasible for all students, not just athletes, but all students. And that's what makes our place pretty darn special.
With the pandemic, the biggest thing right now in higher education is kids deferring and kids not going to community college for a semester. And I saw it with Pacific with the free semester when I was doing some research, and I was like, that's a phenomenal way of kind of meeting in the middle, because kids want to go back to school.
Absolutely. We offered with our school, like, just, you could be full-time and you can study at home online. And it was crazy. I think out of the 2,000 undergraduates, and don't fact me on this number, but I think we had 300 of our 2,000 that decided to do the online. So that's 1,700 that came back to campus. And I think a lot of it is because they just want something to they've been stuck at home, and they want to go and just be around their friends. And whether, even if they got to wear masks and practice social distancing, they just want to be, part of something on campus. It's nice. It was a really nice thing that our President Halleck came out with as far as the free semester, which can go a long way.
Oh, definitely. What is the season looking like in your conference? Is there any determination? I know a lot of the schools can't travel or really recruit right now. Is there any timeline on a season and when you're going to start practice, what the university's thinking?
Well, our conference came out with this was last week. The presidents all got together and pretty much said our conference season wasn't going to start till January 1st, 2021. Well, in hindsight, that's when our conference season starts anyways. So, it really didn't affect us too much. Now, as far as our non-conference stuff goes, I mean, we're still planning on, the NCAA came out with this 3 to 4 weeks ago about the 114 days and us starting on October 1st. And so as of right now, that's when we plan on starting. And then as far as non-conference goes, we have a non-conference schedule in place. A couple of our non-conference games, our tournaments have gotten canceled due to the pandemic. But it's kind of one of those things where we kind of just wait and see, what's going to happen. I think a lot of that is predicated on, the first month of, all the schools in our conference, getting going, and seeing what that looks like. And then also with all the presidents just making a final decision on, fall sports. But I'm about 99.9% sure we're going to have some kind of season. I just don't know what that's going to look like. Whether are we going to be able to play some conference games that are in state, or some non-conference games that are in state? Is it going to be conference only? It's kind of, all that stuff's really kind of up in the air. But as far as knowing that we're going to have something, I'm extremely confident that we'll be doing something.
What advice would you have? So, in California, our high school season's in March now.
It's crazy.
Different states, it's all over the place. Playing in the Midwest, but it's not playing in the West. It's kind of playing in the East Coast. What advice do you have for 2021s in the recruitment process? They've been sidelined in some states now for 6 months, and how do they approach your recruitment, and what advice do you have?
The best advice I got is the two things I told you: being adaptable and then being positive. Like, I feel awful, just awful for all these high school kids. And I feel bad for our college kids too. And I feel bad for the, spring sports that, lost their, pretty much their whole season, last spring. And, it's one of those things where it's like, one of our core values we always talk about is circle of control. So focus on the things you can control, and you've got to, you can't worry about the things you can't control. And it's really, really easy to say. It's a lot harder to live by. But I think that reaching out to coaches, sending film, doing everything you can to put yourself out, to coaches for you to be seen is really, really big. And then just following up with that stuff. Do your research, get to know the university, get to know what it's all about. Is it something that, you could find as a fit? Is the location where you want to be? All those things where I think in the past, it's always kind of been like, oh, hey, I'm interested in your school. I just did a brief little, look at it, spent maybe 2 minutes on it. Can you come watch me play, at Durango High School in Vegas on this day, and then my second game's on this day. Like, it's kind of been that, where I think a lot of high school kids nowadays, just because you're not able to play live in front of all these coaches, is spend some time really, really knowing if this is the university that you can see yourself at, both athletically and academically, and do more research that way, just because you've got a little bit more time on your hands. It's something that you can do. I think a lot of high school kids will kind of sometimes throw out a big net, especially at our level, where I think maybe decreasing that net a little bit and really finding, things that interest you about the university would be really, really big. We always talk about fit with all of our recruits. It's about finding the right fit. And I think that part of what, high school kids can do now is really, really dig into that university and see if it's going to be the right fit for them.
I completely agree. That's kind of why we started this whole thing is, we're harping on the kids to, spend this time researching schools and being feasible and finding the best fit for you, and turn into Tuesday night talks for 17 weeks. And it's been I think a good thing for kids to look at, and good thing for them to do when it comes to spending your time wisely and building your recruitment the best way you can and staying positive during it.
Absolutely. And I think what makes us unique is this, is like, and you guys have probably heard this before, and I always ask high school kids, this is like, what's your why? Like, what does that mean? And for myself, I think what's kept me at, what's kept me at this Division III level, for however many years it's been. It's been a long time, but is the fact that it's bigger than just going to college and playing basketball and getting a degree. And when I say that to kids and when I say that to families, they kind of give me that like crooked eye going like, well, isn't that the reason why they go to college? Don't they go to college to get a degree and play basketball? And I said, yeah, but it's a little bit different with our program. Like my whole coaching philosophy has always been based off this. It's like, you're going to spend the next 4 years at Pacific and you're going to figure out the next 40 years of your life. And that's something that we're extremely passionate about in our program. And I always say to the recruit we're recruiting that if when you graduate and you look at your mom and your dad or your guardians or your grandparents or whatever it is, and you go, well, what do I do next? Then we've failed you as a coaching staff. So we do so many things outside of basketball and academics, extracurricular activities. We have what we call 6 weeks of continuous improvement workshops. So our guys are required the first week of school, they all got to have a resume, and that resume is kept on file and we update that every year. They've all got to create LinkedIn accounts. Some of the guys are like, well, what's a LinkedIn account? I'm like, well, it's the Instagram, it's the Facebook, it's the Snapchat of the real world. But these are things that we really, ingrain in our guys because it's important for them to start thinking about that next step. So our 6 weeks of continuous improvement workshops are anything from resume building to mock interviews to, alumni sharing. I mean, we're just extremely involved with our guys and helping them figure out what that next step's going to be. And that's one of the things I've always taken a lot of pride in, being at this level. We've had 100% graduation rate, my 14 years at Puget Sound and my going on my third year at Pacific. We don't ever have a player that finishes at our program that doesn't graduate. These are things that we're trying to do. So I think that's one of the things that's unique about our program is that like it's not just about going to class, getting a degree and playing college basketball. Like it's bigger than that. And we want them to realize that, and we want to help them figure out what that next step is. So, I mean, a perfect example is this year we got, a guy that's just signed with an agent, going to hopefully be playing, overseas. We got, a couple guys going to grad school. We've got, a player that's in Bellevue right now, Washington, just got a finance job making, a crap load more money than I'm making. And all of this really comes down to helping them figure out that next step. So, when you look at Pacific, and I always tell recruits this, if you're going to look at our place, you have to understand that we're extremely relationship oriented, and we're going to be heavily involved with your development on and off the court. And I'm going to say it again, and I probably said it 1,000 times already, but it's not good enough just to come to Pacific, get a degree and play basketball. Like that's not good enough. So I think that's one of the things that's big on us. And, I know that, usually when I get done talking to families, I got COVID hair, so it's a little bit longer, but usually it's, spiky. One of the things I always say to families I go is, when we get done meeting, you're going to think one of two things. You're going to go, the blonde spiky guy, he's a little too crazy for me. And that's okay. That's helping you figure out what the right fit is. Or it's like, hey, you know what? I really like what that's about. I want to be a part of that. You miss class. We know you miss class. We're hands on that way. You just can't expect to come in and be in cruise control. It's so much more bigger than that. And so that's what's really important for us. That's our why. That's what drives us as a program.
It's all about the 40-year plan. We're big fans of that.
Yeah.
It's part of our pillars of our program too. But Coach, we're running out of time here quickly on our final Tuesday night talks. Is there anything that we didn't touch upon tonight that you want to tell the viewers?
Yeah. Do you mind? I was going to put my cell phone number, my email in this. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, your email is already on here. If you want to put your cell phone number, go ahead.
Perfect. Yeah. And, if there's, I don't know who's all on the show, but if, feel free to shoot me a text. Feel free to shoot me an email. If Pacific's something that you're interested in, we're building something. We're going in on our second, recruiting class thus far, and we're really, really excited about, the pieces we've got coming into play. But it's understanding if you want to be a student athlete at Pacific and play basketball at Pacific, it's got to be more than just playing hoop and going to class and getting a degree. And I think that's one of the things that is going to be expected out of you, to do, more than just, the basic things that are asked out of you. So we're looking to turn this thing around. I left a great job. I didn't leave a great job to come be bad. We're gonna get this thing rolling. We're really, really excited.
No, we're happy to see. We're looking forward to you being successful at Pacific, and we really, really appreciate you coming on tonight. We hope to see you at one of our all academic camps. You guys have always supported us, and
absolutely
to support you. But have a great evening, Coach. We really appreciate you being on, and hopefully talk to you soon and see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys do a great job, so keep it up. I mean, you're, all the participants that are listening right now. I mean, this is great stuff. So extremely grateful for what you guys do for the game of basketball and helping these young student athletes out. It's great stuff. So thanks a lot. Go Boxers.
Have a good night, Coach.